So it looks like Poppy Playtime Chapter 2 is on the way, and while we still don't have an official release date just yet, what we do have is some more information coming from the official Poppy Playtime Discord. Chapter 2 was officially slated for release in early 2022, and we are a month and a half into the year, so looks like it won't be that far away. And the updates that we do have do give us some more information about what to expect from Chapter 2, and also the idea that Poppy Playtime is going to be brought to more platforms. And in fact, we know now that Poppy Playtime Chapter 1 and 2 are going to come to mobile, and we'll cover that in the second part of this video. So these updates come from the official Poppy Playtime Discord, and I thought that quite a lot of you possibly won't be in that Discord because I know not everybody uses Discord, so I thought I would bring this news to you because it doesn't seem like this news is available anywhere else. These updates come from the user called Sirius, who is an admin and a mod in the official Discord, so this information is pretty much confirmed. I don't think any of this is rumor or speculation. You can pretty much trust that this is official information, even though it's not directly coming from the developers, it's coming from somebody that they chose to be a mod and an admin for their Discord server. So the first post was about a week ago now, and this was the information of Chapter 2. So the first point is Chapter 2 is pretty different and it will be improved in terms of visuals and gameplay. Now I'll be honest, I really enjoyed Chapter 1 of Poppy Playtime, but I have to be honest with it, it was very short. It was about an hour and a half, possibly quicker if you got really lucky with the puzzles, or maybe a bit longer if you were like me and got stuck. And they were pretty good. I really didn't have too much to complain about, but visuals were fine. I had no problem with the visuals in Chapter 1. In fact, for me, in horror games, visuals are one of the least important aspects. As long as the game looks okay, as long as it doesn't look horrific, I really don't need the graphics to be 10 out of 10 or photorealistic. As long as it looks cohesive and it looks, you know, not like an asset flip, I'm pretty much okay with it. And the visuals in Chapter 1 did look fine, but also those being improved is not a bad thing. Now, the gameplay being improved, I would have maybe liked some more indication of what this means, because you can say we'll improve the gameplay, but what does that mean? Does that mean that the puzzles are going to be improved? Does that mean that there's going to be more to do? It could mean literally anything, you know. So on the one hand, I'm great. The gameplay being improved is a good thing, but also this doesn't really mean anything. This is just kind of marketing speak, I guess. But we'll see. We'll see if Chapter 2 actually lives up and improves upon those things compared to Chapter 1. We'll see. So the trailer for Chapter 2 is in production and should be coming out soon. Now, this is interesting because we've already had a teaser trailer for Chapter 2. We've had it for ages. It's the one with the Itsy Bitsy Spider song, and this is where most of us came up with our theories about Mommy Longlegs and all of that. So we've already had a teaser trailer, but they're going to be releasing a full trailer before Chapter 2 comes out, which, I mean, for me, I don't need a trailer for a Chapter 2. I'll just jump in, but also I'm happy to go through that trailer and maybe look for some clues and hints, and I'll definitely make videos about it if there's anything interesting in that trailer. And we actually do have a rough release date for that trailer, and that'll be in the next part of this update. So the next point is very interesting. Lore will be expanding in Chapter 2. Now, this is my biggest win because I clearly like games with lore, and I think most of the people who watch my channel watch for the theories and the details you have missed. So you guys clearly like lore and secrets just as much as I do. So that means that we will have more to delve into in Chapter 2. Now, again, Chapter 1 was an hour and a half, and we did manage to get quite a lot of lore from the first chapter, but that was also because of the surrounding things, the ARG. There was a couple of videos around as well, and we had a few things like from Twitter and such. So we had outside influences that added on to the lore for Chapter 1, but it's good to see that Chapter 2 will be expanding that lore even further, and I'm hoping that there's going to be more of it to comb through, because really, in my honest opinion, the lore is the most interesting thing in these games. So to see that it's being expanded, I can't wait. I really hope we get a little bit more of a clarification of what's going on with these creatures, these toys. So basically, I'm just very happy that we're going to be getting more lore in Chapter 2, and also that I will actually have some videos to make because I'm very rapidly running out of ideas, so happy. Chapter 2 will bring bigger optimizations. This is good because Chapter 1, it ran well for the most part, but there was a couple of parts in Chapter 1 where the game really struggled, most notably as you're opening up the door to Huggy Wuggy. That part it just really frame dropped for me on my computer. So yeah, I'm glad that they're doing that. That's fine. Now, this next point is very odd. Poppy will appear at the end of Chapter 1. I really don't know what they mean by this because Poppy already appears at the end of Chapter 1. So I don't know if that means that she's going to appear somewhere else. Maybe we'll have to go hunting for her, or maybe that they're going to expand upon that sequence. before chapter 2. Maybe we'll have to go and replay chapter 1 and get to that part again, and there'll be something else there. I'm not really sure what they mean. I would kind of like some clarification on this. Yeah, as it stands, Poppy already appears at the end of chapter 1, so who knows what they mean by that. But it also looks like they are going to update chapter 1 possibly. So the next point, Poppy Playtime is aimed to premiere on as many platforms as it's possible. Now this is a very interesting point because I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe at the moment Poppy Playtime is only available on PC. And it's not a great thing to be as a game in 2022, because as much as I personally much prefer playing games on PC, as much as I'm far happier to run a game on my PC than on a console, I also have to acknowledge that I still believe that the console market, if you combine them all together, is still massive in compared to the PC market. A lot of people like to say PC master race, but the majority of people who play games play on console at the moment. So more platforms is always a better thing in my opinion. I'm not really a big fan of exclusives, but at the same time, I really do understand that as an indie dev, getting your games to other consoles can be very, very difficult. And I know that from anecdotal evidence from other studios and other devs that I've heard, a lot of people talk about the idea that getting your game on Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo can be quite difficult because all of those different platforms have their own different rules. They have their own little things that they like or dislike, and it can be quite a nightmare to get your game everywhere. And so I understand as an indie development studio, I understand that it's not as easy as just make it and put it on the store. There's rules you have to follow. So we don't really know exactly what platforms that Poppy Playtime is going to come to, although they do say they want to bring it to as many platforms as it's possible, and that's great. But what we do know for definite is that chapter 1 and 2, and I presume all the rest, will be coming to mobile, and we'll cover that in the second part of this video. Now the next point is another interesting one. Chapter 2 will be much scarier. Now, scary is very, very subjective. Now for me, I didn't find Poppy Playtime Chapter 1 particularly all that scary. Now the event chase scene was very tense. That was probably the scariest part of it for me, but it was more of a tension. It was more of a, if something's chasing you, that's always going to be tense. It doesn't matter if it could literally be Kirby or something. It's still going to be tense. And outside of that, chapter 1 wasn't all that scary. There wasn't really that much of a scary atmosphere. It was more interesting. Like, I was just really interesting to see what was going on in the factory. And so for me personally, I didn't find it that scary, but I know some people found it very scary. And this is true of any horror. What some people find scary, others don't. And what others don't find scary, others do. So everyone has this different idea, and different things trigger different people and make you scared or not. And so the idea of saying it's going to be much scarier is a bit of you got to be very careful saying that, because what I think they mean is that chapter 2 is going to have a lot more tension. Maybe they're going to throw in more enemies in there, because again, there was only really one enemy to avoid, and it was right sort of the end of chapter 1. The rest of the game was just puzzle, 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 puzzle. Oh, now you're being chased. Oh, now the game is over. And so I guess what they mean is there's going to be more of those tense parts, maybe more enemies, maybe they are going to add in some more, maybe jump scares. You've got to be really careful with jump scares, because too many cheap jump scares are not that great. So maybe they're going to add in some more jump scares, maybe they're going to add in some more things to scare the player while they're exploring around the factory, or maybe there's just going to be more chase scenes or more enemies to avoid. And that was something that was kind of missing in chapter 1. The horror only kind of came right towards the end, and I'm totally fine with that. I'm okay with a slow burn, if you will. I'm okay with a game bringing in the horror over time. And so maybe if you play these chapters in succession, they are going to become more tense and more scary as time goes on, but we'll see. So the next point, more brain-turning puzzles will appear in chapter 2. This is great. Puzzles were good. I think the puzzles in chapter 1 for the most part were okay. I wouldn't say that they were the best puzzles ever, but I wouldn't say that they were the worst puzzles ever. I thought the grab pack was an interesting mechanic. I think the, linking up the electric, that was cool. That was interesting. I don't particularly, it kind of reminded me of Portal. I was going to say I don't particularly remember a game that did the exact same thing, but it did kind of feel like Portal puzzles, which I'm totally cool with because I love Portal. So more puzzles like that would be great. It would be nice to see a little bit more on the exploration side. It would be nice to have a little bit more puzzles, like finding those VHS tapes, for an example. Kind of seemed redundant. It's like you found the VHS tape usually right next to the VHS player or very close to the player. You just pick it up, you run over there and you put it in. It would be maybe nice if, for example, this is just an idea and we'll see, but like, for example, if you had to go to an area, pick up the VHS tape and come back, but on the way there were enemies who tried to kill you. This is very, very common in horror games, but we didn't really get that in chapter 1. So maybe that's somewhere that they could, you know, incorporate the horror into the puzzles. We'll see. And then the last point is chapter 2 is longer, which I'm very grateful because, again, the biggest criticism I had of Poppy Playtime chapter 1 was that it was incredibly short. I'm going to be honest, it almost felt more like a demo. And while I don't regret purchasing it, it was very cheap. It felt more like a teaser to the game rather than an actual game, or, you know, so it was only chapter 1. So chapter 2 being longer, I'm very, very happy, especially if the gameplay is as good as chapter 1 or even better. I'll be happy to get more content. And again, this also means more content for me to theorize over, hopefully. So big happy with all of these. Now, this is not the only update. We actually have 2 more. We have, if you're interested in Monsters and Mortals, Poppy Playtime DLC is coming to that game. I've never played it. Is it good? Should I play it? Let me know in the comments. I don't know, but there you go. If you like that game, you have some Poppy Playtime DLC. But then the third update is from today, actually, and this is another news segment, if you will, and this is more about the mobile port of Poppy Playtime. So if you are somebody who doesn't own a PC, but you do own a mobile capable of playing games, you might be able to play Poppy Playtime very shortly. So, mobile port for Poppy Playtime is almost here, as developers were working hard on it. Trailer for chapter 2 is also coming in 1 or 2 weeks, which is great. Like I say, I will analyze it, I will look through it, and I will give my opinions and maybe some theories. But then the mobile port should be running fine on older phones, so if you don't have an iPhone 75, maybe you'll be able to play it. Merch will be expanding with amazing new stuff. Cool, I guess, if you want more merch. Poppy Playtime will be on mobile before chapter 2 comes out, and chapter 2 will release at the same time for PC and mobile. So what this means is that they're going to bring out chapter 1 on mobile before chapter 2. So if you haven't been able to play Poppy Playtime yet, and you really want to, but you don't have a PC, you might be able to play it on mobile. And then when chapter 2 releases on PC, it's also going to release it mobile at the same time. So you don't have to wait for chapter 2, which is fantastic. If you want to play it, you now have more options to play it. And there's going to be more posters in chapter 2, which is also good because a lot of the lore and the theories actually came from those posters. So give us more of those. I mean, I'm sure that they're doing that so that they can sell more posters, which is fine. I have no problem with it, but I see you. I see you, Poppy Playtime. But like I say, more things to theorize over. So those are the updates. I just thought I would keep you updated. I'm going to be honest, at the moment, I'm struggling to come up with ideas and stuff. There's not really any amazing games out at the moment. There's not much to theorize over unless I go back to older games, which I might. So I actually played Andy's Apple Farm last night, and I have a theory. I'm gonna play and get some more of the secrets before I really commit to wanting to make a theory on that game, but I really did enjoy it. And so maybe I'll look into maybe making a theory or 2 on that game while I'm waiting for Poppy Playtime chapter 2. And yeah, apart from that, there's not really much. It's been a really dead month. January was terrible, and February has not been that much better. And I'll be honest, yeah, I was expecting some more people to be interested in Dying Light 2, but I guess people just aren't interested, and that's okay. You know, if you're not interested, that's totally fine. But there you go. So I'll see what happens. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a like. Let me know down in the comments below, and maybe, if you haven't already, consider subscribing, because your boy's struggling in this beginning of 2022, and there's not much to make content on. So yeah, help me out if you want to. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.